Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for another journaling on a budget video. And today we are going to make, I don't know what you would call them, kind of like a gatefold page or a saloon door maybe. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to make a mandala to start with, and I want it to be as wide as my pages. My pages are in my journal, they're 8.5 by 11 folded in half, which means that I will have a 5.5 inch page. And so I'm going to make this about 5.5 inches. I'm going to use my compass to do that. You can get these at the Dollar Tree. You can get them at Walmart. And if you look at your numbers down here, that will tell you how wide half of your circle is going to be. So to make a 5-inch circle, I'm going to go to 2.5. And then since I want about a 5.5 inch circle, I'm going to go just a little bit further, and that should give me about a 5.5 inch circle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pencil at the edge of the page because I don't want to waste any of my paper. I'm going to use the rest of it. So I'm going to, here I will still be on the page, and over here I'm going to move it over just a little bit because I want to be close to the edge of that page. So I'm very close to the edge over here and close to the edge at the top, so that's where I want to be. Don't forget, if your compass gets a little bit loose, there is a screw on it. Tighten that screw up before you start so that your compass does not open up any further than what you started with. And then to make a mandala, you just choose however you want to do it. You just use your compass and basically doodle on your circle. So I'm just coming out to the edge and going around, and then I'm going to line my compass up with where my pencil started for that piece. And this is going to make a flower. And again, I did tighten my compass up before I started because otherwise your compass kind of slips and then it winds up not lining up as well. So don't forget to do that. And then each time just move over to the last mark that you made. Just line it right up at that point. And just keep right on going until you get your whole flower. Once you get your flower, you can choose what other types of doodling you may want to put on this mandala. And then color them in. Now my compass has opened up a little bit and my flower did not line up exactly. Or I did not put my pencil at exactly the right mark. So I've got a couple of spots here that are not really quite a point. That doesn't bother me, and I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm going to go right back to the center. And then I think I'm just going to make my compass a little smaller and draw another circle inside. And then maybe I'll do that one more time. Okay, and I think that maybe I'll stop right there. And then what you're going to do, and the other thing that you can also do is you can just start outside your circle and make sure that your pencil is going to touch, and this one is a little bit fiddly. I'm going to touch one point and then I'm going to come over here and make sure that I touch the other point. Not quite, so I'm going to actually move my point back, this point back just a little bit. I'm almost touching the point of that flower and I'm too far that way. So now I need to move over a little bit until I get it where I want it. And now I'm touching at both circles or both points about. So I'm just going to do like this. And you can do that all the way around. And then you'll wind up having this extra like half circle here. So like I said, this one is a little bit fiddly, but it's all just about having fun as you're doing it. Don't worry about how fast something is. So because it's not about how fast you can get it done. It's about how much you enjoy doing it while you're doing it. So you can do that all the way around and just continue. And once you get a pattern that you like, then you're going to just use your markers and you're going to color that in, and you'll come up with something that looks kind of like this. So once you get all of your marks for your mandala on, then you take your spaces and decide what you're going to do with those spaces. So here, in this part of the flower, I just made lines, and I did that in every other one. Each one of the petal pieces, and then the pieces between it, I made little half circles. And then I came up to this one and I just kind of made a little bit of a swoosh. And so you just go ahead and you continue till you say, I like the way that that looks. Once you get it the way that you like it, you're going to cut it out and fold it in half, and then cut it in half so that you have 2 half circles. Okay, now when you go to cut that, you want to keep this piece of paper over here and this piece of paper down here intact. So I am going to come over here and line up as close as I can to the edge of my circle and cut that. And I do this before I cut out my circle so that I have those pieces of paper where I didn't accidentally cut into them. Okay, so once we've got our circle all colored and all cut in half, we're going to choose what page to put it on. And I have chosen this page and towards the middle of my last signature. Now this page has the little clear covering over it, which I really like, but this did have the one that was ripped. Remember when we originally picked our pages, I had ripped this and I kept it because I thought it looked okay. Now I don't care for it as much, so I turned it around. This piece was not ripped, but the other half of it was, and that's here. And so I just took this piece right here and put it over here and put my nice flat piece over here because I want this to be solid. I've also decided maybe I don't like this, so I just kind of folded it in half, and I think I'm going to cut that off straight, so I'll just have a half of a page there. Now, once we've got our circle cut in half, we're going to put it on our page, but first we need to score it. Now, if you don't have a scoreboard, you can use your ruler and anything that has a nice blunt edge on it, not too sharp. The back of a butter knife works well, and you can just put your ruler, just line your ruler up where you want it, use the back of your butter knife, and just run it next to that ruler a little bit, and you will get a score line that way. For speed here, I am going to use my scoreboard, and I am going to score this circle on the flat part at 1/4 of an inch. And hold your paper whenever you're using a scoreboard. Make sure that you hold whatever you're scoring because they like to slide out and you get a different size line. And I'm going to do that to both sides of my circle. So I'm going to hold it kind of here at the bottom and hold it against until I get that started, and then I'll go up above where I've already scored it to hold it. Just continue holding my paper. There we go. So we've got those done. And then we're just going to fold at that score line. And what I like to do is I like to fold it both ways and make sure that that's a nice soft fold. In other words, it's not real stiff. We want it to open and close easily, and if it's really stiff, a lot of times it will want to like stay open, and be sticking up. So if you kind of fold that a few times, it softens up that score line so that your paper doesn't want to. If I were to score it this way and then tried to push it down, it wants to pop up like this. So if I go ahead and fold it a few times, it doesn't do that as bad. And then the more that you use that page, the less it will want to do that. So, all right, that's good enough. And then we're going to glue it in our book. Bring this back up here. You can use any type of glue that you want. I have the Fabri-Tac today because it dries quicker and holds quicker, but I use tacky glue a lot. And you can get tacky glue at the Dollar Tree. And so we are going to put these in here like this. Now, I made them as large as my page so that I could overlap them a little bit in the middle because I want that. So if you don't like the overlap, then you can just make your circle just a little bit smaller so that they only go like this. But I kind of like the way that it overlaps, so so that's why I made it exactly the size of my page. And I have to decide, do I want it up in the middle, oops, of my page, or do I want it closer towards the bottom? I think I do want it about in the middle, and I'm just going to eyeball it. It doesn't have to be perfectly in the middle. So long as they line up with each other, that's all you need. There we go. And before I do that, and normally I would color this first, but I'm going to color it afterwards. I'm going to take this piece of paper and I'm going to put a pocket at the bottom. So I need to cut it right about there. And I want it to be shorter also. So I'm just going to cut it to the right width. And then I'm going to shorten it up. Maybe 2 inches would be a good height. And like I said, I'll go in and color this afterwards, but it's easier to color it first. And I'm going to glue that down on the 3 edges so that it makes a pocket. Excuse me. I want to keep my glue as close to the edges as possible because I want that pocket to be pretty wide. Oops. I'm just going to put this here at the bottom. Just like that. And normally what I would have done was I went around the edge of my mandala with one of the blue mica pens that we got in our Build Your Stash series. And normally I would do that ahead of time because that's easier to do and not worrying about contaminating your papers around the edges. I need to make sure that I haven't glued this to the page underneath of it. And if you put a piece of parchment between your pages, that really helps too, so that you don't have that accident where you go to separate your pages later and go, oops, I glued them together. But if you glued them together, turn them into a pocket or something like that. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and put some on the fold so that I can glue the fold down to my page. I need to decide. I want it down here a little bit. That's why I put the pocket in first, was because I knew that my mandala was going to go over top of my pocket. So now we've got that in there. And then we'll just do this one and line it up. And the Fabri-Tac is a whole lot like the Beacons 3-in-1. So if you really think you want to try the Fabri-Tac and it's too expensive, try the Beacon 3-in-1. I'm not sure what the difference is, to tell you the honest to goodness truth. They are pretty much the same. I used to use Beacons a lot. I just ran out and I had a coupon for Joann's, so I thought I would try the Fabri-Tac. And to me, they're very much the same. Now what I'm going to do is find a ruler real quick. I'll be right back. It's right over here. And I'm going to measure the distance between my folds, so I know how much space that I have between my 2 doors. And it's 4 3/4 inches. I think I'm going to make a pad of paper to slide in here, and I think I'm going to make it 4 1/2 inches. Now, I did something wrong there, because what I actually wanted to do was I wanted to put a piece of ribbon in. And how fast has this grabbed? Can we get it off of here? Let's see. Ooh. Okay. I wanted a piece of ribbon in here to hook these shut. And so I am just going to, let me see if I can get this one off really quick. Yeah, this one's still damp, so I'm going to get that off before it dries. And I know right where my middle is because it's right at the middle of my flower. So I'm just going to take a piece of ribbon and make sure that when I put it in there, when it folds over, the shiny side is up. If you have a ribbon that is shiny on one side and not on the other, you'll want to make sure that you do that. Put that right in at the point of my flower. Is that going to hold? I think it is. Okay. And what I'm going to do is you can tie this, which I might start out by trying that. And if I don't like it, then I'm going to hook it together with a little tiny piece of Velcro. And then it will be flatter instead of having where you've a big bunch where you tied the bow. The only thing about these types of glues, and the Beacon 3-in-1 is exactly the same, they're really thick and they take a while to get here. And then you have to be careful because a lot of times they spit out the top of the bottle. All right, so I'm going to take my other half of the ribbon and make sure that I'm going to have the shiny side up. Which means put the shiny side down when you're gluing it. First I need to line this up. My hands do not want to work this morning. Okay, and then put that right in at the point of the flower. Just like that. There we go. Now we will be able to hook these shut. And you don't have to do that part. You can leave it just like this. You know, it will, just fold in. But I thought it would be cute with the ribbon across it, so you could tie it in a bow, or you can go ahead and just make it flat this way and cut it right past the middle, and then take this one and fold it flat this way, cut it just past the middle, and put just the tiniest piece of Velcro on each piece, so that when you close it, that Velcro will stick to itself, and then you can put a little flower on there or something just to make it look pretty right there in the middle. But so to finish constructing this, we are going to cut this at, did I say 4.5 inches? Yep, that's 4 3/4. So I'm going to cut this large piece, the full length of our cardstock that we had left over. And the other piece that I cut the pocket out of, that was the little piece I cut off the bottom. But I'm going to cut this one at 4.5. And then that's going to fit in our pocket, yes. And there we go. Now I want to cut it. Do I want it sticking up at all? I don't think I really do want it sticking up much at all. I am going to make a mark. I'm going to have it stick up this far. That's about maybe 1/8 of an inch higher than my circles. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to score it right there, and then I'm going to cut it and actually you have lines. I have lines in here, and I'm just going to use that line to kind of use it as a scoreboard, so I don't have to bring my big scoreboard back out. Okay, so I'm going to fold this down because I'm making a pad of paper, and I want it to have a little header on the top, but I don't think I want my header that large, so now I'm just going to cut that off. Oh, maybe make it 1 inch. I'm going to make it about 3/4 of an inch. And now I'm going to measure. I know that I'm 4.5 inches wide. And let's see how long we are. 7 inches long. So now I'm just going to take some dyed papers, and I'm going to cut them 4.5 inches wide. And I'm going to go just under. And the reason I do that is to make sure that I fit underneath my little cover without sticking out. And then I'm going to cut them 7 inches. And I'm going to need to mark this at 7 inches because my little board here does not go to 7 inches. And just make sure you keep them lined up. I just have 3 pieces of paper here. You could do however many you would like to do. But I don't want to make my journal too fat. And that's the thing sometimes when you get, if I were to put, let's say, 8 pieces in here or something, that's going to be a pretty fat pad of paper. And it's going to make my journal a lot fatter. So we're just going to fold this down. And then we're just going to staple it at the top. Now in my craft series, Crafting on a Budget, I showed how to make colored staples. And I forgot to bring them out here, but that's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to color this. I don't think I'm going to color the back, but I am going to color my little header here. And I'm going to color down here and put a couple of staples in there. To hold my pad of paper. Now you can put this in this way, or you can put it in this way and do some stamping or something on here. Now remember, you don't really want to do, so this is going to go in here like this. It's going to stick up just a little bit. You're going to have your pocket here and this here. You don't want to do anything too busy because your mandala is very, very busy. So you just might want to do just a little bit of background stamping on there or something very, very light, or even just edge it in the blue like the mandala and leave it at that. So you'll have to decide how you want to decorate those, but this is how it's going to look, and it's either going to be very straight with the ribbon like this, with the other one coming over, and this having a little something in the middle to make it just kind of look pretty, or I'm going to tie it like this and have a little bow there. Again, the bow is cute. I do like them sometimes, but sometimes they do make your journal just a little bit too fat. And sometimes you need a bow, but sometimes you don't. And in this case, I kind of look at it as I don't really need a bow. For this one, the Velcro would work just fine. So I'm going to just finish up my backgrounds here. I'll be back in just a minute to show you what it looks like. Okay, I'm back and I finished it up. It's in our third signature of our journal here. And so starting out with, we had a couple of those pages. And then we have, I do like the way that it looks with the blue. I think the yellow looks nice through the blue. And here it is. I did decide to cut my ribbon and put a little tiny piece of Velcro on there. And so all I did was I cut a little piece of Velcro, put glue on both sides, put a piece of parchment underneath here. And then I just brought this side over, stuck the Velcro on it, brought this side over, pushed it onto the top of the Velcro, and then let that dry. And then you can just go in there and you can just separate them like that. I had these little tiny crystal flowers from the Dollar Tree from a long time ago. I had 2 of them left, so I stuck one at the top of our paper pad also. And I just went around the paper pad and around the pocket in the same blue that goes around the edge of the mandala. And then I just used a background stamp and just went ahead and did a little bit of stamping. I didn't want anything that was too distracting to go along with the mandala, because you have to remember, if you've got something that's super busy, then maybe if everything else is not quite as busy, your eye gets drawn to the thing that you took all the time on. So, you want people to see that mandala and notice it before they notice everything else. Plus, it would just blend in if you made it too busy behind. So there is our gatefold or saloon door fold. I don't know what you call it, but I really had fun doing this, and it's just nice to have, like things that open up in your books. And also then when I did all of the lines for my book, when I was done, I went ahead and I just used paper on my paint pad until I got pretty much everything off of it. And then what I do is, these are some of the tabs that I cut and everything. I put things in the back of my journal that I made, or that were extras that went along with something I did in here, because that way later on, if you need something to go, you have things in the back here that you've already used in your journal, and so you can choose from those things, and they should go in your journal because you've already got things like that in your journal. The other thing I wanted to say is, when I was deciding where to put this mandala, I wanted it on a plain page and I wanted it on the right side. I put almost every single page, I put the lines on the right side of my pages. So every time I turned a page saying, can I put it there? It's like, nope, there's lines. Nope, there's lines. Well, the one thing that you can do with that, if you have something like that happen, is you can always take it and, let's see if this is even going to work. There we go. Yeah, flip it upside down and put it back in again. Now the right side of this page right here does not have the lines on it, and I've got all this stuff behind. So remember, if you haven't used the page yet and you put lines on it and you decide you want the lines on the other side, or you want this side to be plain, just go ahead and flip it around. So I've got all of my little, what do you call those? They're not stencils. Anyways, my edges, to cut my edges so that all my edges in this book are the same. I do that too. If I'm working on more than one book, I cut my little corner rounders and everything. I cut them for that book and stick them in that book so that those pages are all the same. And then I have them with that book. Because they don't cost me anything, I can have one in every single book that I have versus having a corner punch or something for every book. This way I know that my corners in this book are all going to be the same. My corners in my faith book are all going to be the same because it has its own set of templates. So, but that's what we did today. I hope that you like that. I really enjoyed making that. And I'll probably see you next week for another journaling on a budget. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.